All right, guys, let's talk happy birthday to me. So now I'm accepting $10,000 briefcases in 50s and hundreds, preferably. I'm not going to let you go over that because then the IRS gets involved. Not going to put you through that. I'm accepting gifts that are just big enough that they'll fit through the front door, but it has to have a little bit of issue getting through just to emphasize how big and great the present is. Anything like that is perfectly fine. Or just an empty box. Perfect. I'll take that. I'll store something in it. So that's happy birthday to me. Take care, everybody. All right. So this is recorded on my birthday yesterday, the 20th, but these won't be up until sometime tomorrow evening, probably, until I am fully recovered and the hangover's over. Whatever else is floating around my bloodstream is out until tomorrow night sometime. But 1981's Happy Birthday to Me. It's directed by the same guy who did, J. Lee Thompson, who did Cape Fear, the original with Gregory Peck, which someone just mentioned Cape Fear to me recently, the De Niro one. So those two will eventually be coming. So we have Melissa Sue Anderson here from Mary Engels from House on the Prairie, right? Last House on the Prairie. Never was a fan of that. Never was a fan of Sue Anderson, so that doesn't really do anything for me. But I highly enjoy this movie, always have, even though the ending is just fucking ridiculous, like in every way possible. But I really appreciate at the very beginning how this chick really puts a fight up against the backseat strangler that tries strangling her. Usually you see people get strangled from behind and they're dead within a few seconds. She puts up quite a fight. She even gets out of the car, but then she gets her throat slit with the straight razor. So it feels very giallo, the very like certain scenes in this movie, just with like the black gloves and especially with the straight razor there in the beginning. Has anyone actually been to a bar where like half the place is really singing X amount of bottles of beer on the wall? I don't ever hear that. I'm not a big bar person, so maybe that's why. But just a thought that came into my mind. You never hear that. Especially they hit like 52 bottles or 51 bottles on the wall, and the guy just like, let's sing it all over again. And they start at 100. So they're not even fucking devoted to the song. They can't even finish one round through of it, get to one bottle on the wall. They just hit halfway and they fucking restart it all over again. You never hear that. Or maybe you do. Let me know if you've ever heard of people actually singing it seriously in a bar, because I've never heard that song being taken seriously in any way. And then hopping over a drawbridge, like just for fun, that seems fucking stupid. Like, come on. And multiple cars do this. And that one car, like that car is fucking totaled. Like, do you see how that car lands? It lands right on the front of the car, right on the grill, and like it's completely total. That car would be, but and the guy's just like, "Hey, we made it." I'm like, like all right, I guess your car doesn't matter to you, even though you made the jump. And then we find out that Virginia lost her mom in some sort of accident, a car accident years earlier, and she's part of the top 10, like the elite in this school. Kind of reminds me of like Mean Girls with their whole little clique. So these are like the most elite of the school, I guess. For what reason, I don't know, because these people just seem like regular, ordinary people. And then Atian, that's his name, right? The foreign guy. He's fucking creepy as hell. When he shows up and he's like offering to walk Virginia home, and she's like, no, I'm good. And then again, he's like, I know where it is. It's like, that's like the type of creepy, like taken over by aliens vibe that you'd be fine with. And like when I did Invaders from Mars the other day, that works. In this type of situation, he's just being creepy as shit for no reason. And then it never really comes into play again. And you never hear people playing classical music nowadays anymore casually in their house, unless they're like rich, evil white people. Like if Jordan Peele's taught me anything, look at Get Out. Fucking, they got classical music playing there, and it's a big organization of white people trying to take over black people's bodies. Case in point, you hear classical music being played, it's evil white people every single time. And we get the pointless jump scare scene that's not even really a jump scare, with Atian climbing into her house, into Virginia's house, and like her books fall off the shelf, and then like there's like another noise, and Atian hits the ground outside of the house and like takes off. And that's it. Like, really like meaningless scene. The only thing I took from it is that Virginia needs a much better bookshelf, because you see like multiple books fall off of her table like many times, especially when what's his name drops out of the house, and he was there I guess just to steal her panties, because like when he wins the race later in the movie, he pulls them out of his shirt and said, "I had this close to my heart," and she gets all pissed off. So he just snuck in for her panties, I guess. All right, at this point, okay. And then we get scenes with the brain scans and everything going on with Virginia, which I really like in this movie, how they play her sanity into it. And originally, they were going to go a different direction, and they were going to have her be the killer, have Virginia just straight up be crazy from her memories and everything that she can't remember from the accident, and she was going to be the killer. Then they threw in the ending that they did, and I'll get to it, but it's just so fucking stupid. And then ATN gets killed with the motorcycle wheel, which looks good. Like, there's some cool kills in here. Even the tagline I remember was like 6 of the most like insane kills you'll ever see, or like wild kills or something like that. I mean, not really. I mean, there's really not that many like great kills in here. I mean, the shish kebab one is the one everyone remembers because it's on the VHS cover, but even that kill isn't that great. It's creative, I'll give it that, but like if we saw more gore, like see like the shish kebab come out the back of his head or something like this, something, it would have been a lot better. But there are some cool kills in here. And then Albert, the freaky guy, everyone's a fucking creep in this movie. Every single guy in this movie. And this guy like makes like, I'm assuming this is where Anne gets the mask at the end, right? From this dude? Because he has like a bunch of like facial casts and stuff in his room, and he has the head of Bernadette that looks like he decapitated her in the tray and everything, and then he pops her eyeball out, like her fake eyeball, to show that it's fake. And is it fake? I don't even know, because we never see Bernadette again, right? Until like the very end at the dinner table. So I guess it was just something he's working on, which makes him even more fucking creepy than he was before that. And then we have the weightlifting scene. Again, cool kill, but it always bothers me when I see this movie that like he's holding the weights up above him, and he can't hold them up any longer, he's saying. And then we have the killer that we know he recognizes, because as soon as she walks in, he's like, "Oh, it's you." And it's like the one time that none of the characters call her Ginny, like in the entire movie. Like just this one scene, so we don't know who the killer is. And then she goes to take the dumbbell and fucking drop it on his nuts. That's gotta hurt. Here's a better plan. Just let it go. He couldn't do that? Really? Like he couldn't have just, he's holding the fucking weights up. He couldn't have just tossed the bar behind him? Really? Like that's what any sane person would do in that situation. Not let another dumbbell hit you square in the nuts and have it come down and fucking squish your fucking body or neck or whatever happens in that scene, because you don't really see anything. But that's what you do. You don't just let your balls get squished. Like this is not a situation for that. And then the whole bell tower scene, that I have no idea what happens in that. Like Andy's there, he's acting creepy as shit. He's saying, "I got a knife that we can cut the bell tower rope down," and he pulls the knife out and he's creepily saying like, "Get over here," and all weirdness. Then there's just drops of blood coming down from there. Then she wakes up the next morning and just doesn't remember anything about it. Like, and then it's never really brought up again. So something happened in the bell tower. What? I don't know. Besides a priest that was like finds it later and is like screaming help, like so like low to himself. Help, help. Like nobody's hearing him. But that's all I can remember about that. Then more on the Happy Birthday to Me Saw edition. You get to see more brain surgery and shit done on Virginia, which is, like I said, belongs better in a Saw movie. And I don't even know what the girl that's floating in the water, like when they're all hanging out smoking a joint, and Ginny is conveniently the one that's positioned facing the glass, like with the water behind it, and she sees the body like floating down. And I get it, she's traumatized and everything, but wouldn't you think just say to everybody, "Yo, y'all see that?" And then if they say no, then you know you're going crazy. If they all say, "Oh yeah, that's Jessica," whatever her name is, she's just fucking around. then that's it. You should be like, oh, okay, all right, she's really there. And then you don't have to like run off like a crazy woman like she does many times in this movie. And then Alfred gets stabbed just for being weird, I guess. He was pulling something out of his pocket, like when Ginny was, well, I guess it's not even Ginny, but when she's like by the mother's grave and then she ends up stabbing him with the scissors. And all of this with the killer will be, well, it's not going to be explained at all, I can tell you that, but it's going to be talked about in a second. And then the dad goes bye-bye on his little trip, which I don't even know what he does. Like, he's watching something on TV that looks like an implosion or something like that, and then he says, like, I'll be back when we can get it out. So, I don't know, like construction or something crashed into a major city, like a UFO, and he has to get it out. I have no idea what he does for a living, and nor does it really matter. And then the shish kebab kill, which I mentioned earlier, and stuff with, forgot his name, Steve, is that it? And they leave the dance, and Ginny says, we're going to go back to my house to Anne, who is the killer here. And she's dancing with some other guy, and they're just like, all right, peace. And Ginny and Steve, hope it's Steve, whatever it is, go back to her house, and then have that whole little foreplay thing, and they're in front of the fire, and they're fucking around a little bit, and then they taste the shish kebab, and she kills him with it. So Anne was at the party when this happened, so that'll come into play. Then we see the full accident. Is there any reason the mom couldn't get out of that car too? Like, come on, really? Like, she was in no immediate danger. Like, when they were just sitting there talking, like, in the water, like, submerged, they could have, like, shot, like, a 12-episode podcast. That's how slow the water was rising. If it was rising at all. Like, there was no immediate emergency until she opened up the door and tried swimming out. Then the water comes pouring in. So why couldn't the mom just do the exact same thing at the exact same time? Just both open the doors and just swim to safety. Like, I see no reason the mom had to die in this, but it plays into the plot of the movie, so why not? And of course it's the fucking drawbridge. That's the meaning behind all of this. Our stupid friends are taking her, fucking playing, what the hell do they even call it? Chicken. That they're playing chicken, and that's not how I remember playing chicken. Fucking just taking off over a drawbridge and hoping you make it to the other side. Not the way I remember that game, but it's a cool little spin on it. But that's the whole that's the whole reason for everything, is that they took her on this drawbridge, and that triggered the memory of her and her mom in the accident, falling off the drawbridge, and the mom dies and everything. I don't know. It makes sense, I guess. And then this doctor, like, we find out Anne is missing, so now like 6 of these people are missing, all these high school kids. This doctor, who seems like way too pervy with Ginny. Like, their relationship is kind of fucking weird in this movie. And this doctor doesn't think for a second that she's, like, capable of killing all these people. Doesn't even contemplate the idea that, yeah, this girl might be a little more fucked up than we thought she was. Like, I think she might be killing people. Not even crosses his mind. Not once. Not a single time. No. I mean, I'm just saying, if I was that doctor, it'd be one of the first things that crossed my mind. Is, we went probing into this girl's brain. Like, she does not seem okay. And now there's, like, multiple of her friends missing. This bitch killed them. Like, come on. That would be one of the first thoughts I have. Like, especially as a doctor, of her doctor, with all her history that you know about. You don't contemplate that at all, huh? Alright. And then the flashbacks with the mother, like, this mother loves parties. Like, she won't even hear it when she finds out that all the friends didn't invite Ginny to Anne's party, and that she had no one there for her birthday. She's like, fuck this, like, we're bringing the party to them, and then just fucking starts banging on the gate and screaming to let them into the party and everything. This woman loves her parties. She probably partied too much. She did. She was drinking while she drove, and that's why she's dead. And then the doctor gets bludgeoned with the fireplace poker, which creates way too much blood. Like, I never complain with blood and gore, but there is so much blood that just, like, explodes all over, like, the windows in the room, like, when he gets just, like, simply bludgeoned with this fireplace poker. Like, it seems like Victor Crowley, like, stepped on set real quick and ripped this fucker in half. And then you get, like, the hatchet trademark of just blood spraying onto a tree. Like, that's what it looks like. It looks like Victor Crowley just snuck his way on set, like, 25 years before he was even thought of, and just disemboweled this guy. Then the ending with all the bodies around the table for a birthday, awesome. Like, I love how that looks. All the shots of that. It kind of reminds me of, now I want to say Slumber, like a sleepaway camp 2, Unhappy Campers. When they go into the shack, spoilers, I guess, if anyone hasn't seen this, but when they find all the bodies in Angela's shack at the end of Sleepaway Camp 2, reminds me of that. And I love that scene also. Can you imagine coming home, though, to that? Like being a father, coming home from your job after you promised that you'd be there for your daughter's birthday, and you get there and there's just a table with dead corpses all around, including your wife who died in an accident years prior, and just your whole life falling apart in front of you. They're like, Jesus, we fucked my daughter up like beyond belief, like with what we did to her with all these fucking tests and everything. Like, I couldn't imagine, man, coming home and seeing your daughter like snapped and like with multiple bodies all over the place. The doctor too was dead. Jeez, man, that's gotta be terrible. And then she slits the dad's throat open. Which, if you're gonna kill somebody, be fucking sanitary about it. You just cut that piece of cake. There is cake pieces all over that knife. At least clean it up before you slit your dad's throat. And yeah, it's not the dad, but still, before you slit your half dad's throat or whatever the fuck she is in relation to him, clean the fucking cake off it. That's all I'm trying to say. And then we get the reveal that apparently, like, Anne is a master at fucking like masks and prosthetics and stuff. She's a master prosthetics artist, and she was able to put this mask on that looks identical to Ginny, like every time she killed one of these people. Like, and she just wanted to help Ginny have a good birthday because she ruined her birthday years previously because she had the party on the night of Ginny's birthday, nobody came, and that's when the mom went crazy and wanted to crash the party. Okay. And then, like, we find out that Anne's dad, the dad, right? Yeah, Anne's dad had a relationship or an affair with Ginny's mom. And that's, like, the whole thing. They're, like, half sisters now, and, like, she hates Ginny for everything that the affair put her through and everything, their parents' affair. Something like that. It's fucking ridiculous, the ending to this movie. Like, I'm guessing, like I said, that Alfred made the mask for her, but like, does that mean, was he involved? Did he know about the plan, or did she just come up to him, man, and say like, listen, I need like a perfect mask of Ginny, and like no questions asked, he just like, all right, I'm on it, and then just like made the mask and then never mentioned it to anybody else or thought it was strange, anything like that? I mean, he seems to be a very strange man, don't get me wrong, so maybe he had no idea that this was a plan that she was enacting on her own. But there's no fucking way that any of that works. Like, at all. Like, that means she was, like I said, when she left the party, or the dance or whatever, with Steve, with the shish kebab guy, that means that Anne had to leave the guy she was with, have all the time to put on that perfect prosthetic, and then somehow, I guess, drug Ginny and throw her in her bed and then take her place and then do the whole shish kebab thing with Steve and kill him. And the same thing with Alfred when he shows up at the mom's grave. She was just already in prosthetics to look just like Ginny. And just the ridiculousness of all of this. Like, if you were with a friend of yours, I don't care how good the prosthetics are. Like, if I'm with a friend that's wearing a latex mask of another friend, I'm gonna, like, there's something fucking wrong with your face. Like, that's not you. Like, come on. That's a fucking mask. Are you serious? Like, what are you trying to pull here? Like, anybody in their right mind. The whole thing of the mask is just such a stupid reveal in this movie. Like, it really is. Like, that's why I wish they would have just went the direction that they originally planned, which is having her be the killer, that Ginny was just lost her mind after everything that she's been through and she just snapped and became a killer. I like that better than the whole half-sister reveal while she's wearing a perfect fucking prosthetic mask of her while she's killing all the other friends. That's fucking dumb. Like, just the whole thing with it. It reminds me of, what's the hell is the movie? Popcorn reminds me of this movie. But, like, that movie is a lot more ridiculous. So you can, like, by that point, and it happens, like, earlier in the movie, like not right at the end. Like it happens like a good half hour before the movie ends when you get the reveal in that movie. And because of how just much more over the top and stupid that movie is, even though I highly enjoy it, you're willing to accept it at that point. You're just like, all right, whatever. Like the rest of this movie is just bonkers. So let's go with that. For this, it's just like it's serious for most of the movie. And then it gets to that end, and it's just like, come on, man. Seriously? Like, she had a perfect fucking prosthetic mask on this whole time. That's the best thing you guys came up with. I don't know. If Popcorn came out, what, 91 or something like that? So we're going to put a thing on it right now. We're going to make a rule. From the 90s forward is when technology was advanced enough to make a perfect mold and mask of somebody's face. Before that, in the 80s, fuck you. It's a stupid... it's a stupid twist. It's a stupid idea. Anything after 1990 or so, we'll give it a pass. Then the cop ends up coming after they have like a whole struggle, Anne and Ginny, and then like it's not even a struggle really. I mean, she just like tells her whole affair story of their parents, and then she tries to stab Ginny, and Ginny just like turns the knife on her and stabs her in the stomach, and Anne's dead. Then the cop comes and doesn't believe what happened. He's like, "What did you do?" And then she just starts singing "Happy Birthday" to me, which sounds creepy as shit the way that she sings that. Awesome ending, except for the whole ridiculousness with the mask. And awesome movie. I've always loved this movie. And I will have another birthday themed slasher. I don't even know if I can call it a slasher. It's more like a killer kid movie than a slasher. I guess it falls into both categories, and I'm sure people know what it is by now. But yeah, guys, thanks for all the happy birthday wishes yesterday, and from then forward until I get to hop on YouTube and upload this and the other one and all that fun stuff. So I'll have the next movie up as soon as I can. And I'm going to go enjoy my birthday. So again, thanks for all the birthday wishes, and I'll have that other video up as soon as possible. So everybody, wherever you're from, good morning, good night. Hope you're enjoying your day. Take care.